What's up, everybody? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, and it is that time of the week. It is UFC Best Bets, and we're doing it for a pay-per-view event for the second time this month. 2 pay-per-views in the month of March. We had a pretty good one, UFC 259, of course, and then UFC 260 wrapping up the month of March at the Apex in Las Vegas. I am in Las Vegas. James Krause finally not in Las Vegas. He's joining us from Kansas City. First time in like 7 weeks, right?
7 weeks.
7 weeks that he's not in Vegas cornering somebody. And then Nick Kalikas, of course, from Circus Sports here in Vegas as well. Before we get to the lines this weekend, quick look back at the UFC Fight Night, Kevin Holland versus Derek Brunson. James, you got us to the window again. Mine's 200 on your guy, Grant Dawson, who you gave a heck of a pep talk before that third round. He come out and got the knockout in the final second of that fight. So well done for you as a coach. Well done for you as a bettor and everybody else who took your advice to do that. I mean, you came through for us. You had a little bit of an influence on that one, so we appreciate it.
No problem, man. I got you guys. That's what I'm here for. You know, that's what I'm here for.
And Nick, you took the main event would not go the distance. A winning bet is a winning bet. A losing bet is a losing bet. We don't make excuses here, but that was a weird main event, man. Kevin Holland. I mean, I'm not gonna. Everybody has an opinion on Kevin Holland if he should talk more, if he should talk less, if he should continue talking. I thought that the guy kind of laid an egg in his first main event. And it sort of ended up in a weird kind of I thought that there were some opportunities for the fight to end, but Kevin Holland really wasn't pressing the issue, and Derek Brunson played it safe. So you really can't knock Derek for doing what he did in that main event.
No, it was just when it was all said and done, I think it was a bad bet. I mean, laying minus 200 on something like that was not the greatest bet in hindsight. Of course, everything leading up to the fact, though, kind of leaned that way, right? So, but again, the way the fight played out, I mean, Holland had his chances. I mean, he had Brunson wobbled a few times, right? And then Brunson had Holland in trouble on the ground in that arm triangle choke. I thought it was a wrap at that point as well, but they survived. They made it all 5 rounds. It's a crazy sport sometimes. That's how it goes.
Well, 1-1 is better than 0-2. So we'll take it and we'll move on to a profitable weekend. This weekend at UFC 260, let's get to that main event. Obviously, Stipe Miocic. I mean, the guy it's almost like he's like Jan Blachowicz, the heavyweight division. The guy continues to be an underdog. Plus 105 right now. William Hill, Francis Ngannou, the challenger, minus 125. The over-under on this one is set at 1.5 for it to go over 1.5 rounds is minus 137, just a small favorite there. And then the under is even money, plus 100 if it goes under 1.5, which, Stipe, a Francis fight has tended to do so lately. So, Nick, we'll start off with you. What have you seen in terms of line movement, where this opened, and were you surprised that, Miocic, the greatest heavyweight of all time, is coming in here as an underdog?
I'm not surprised he's coming in as an underdog. Like you said, I think he is the GOAT in the heavyweight division, though. He's the greatest of all time. There's no question. What he's accomplished, his title defenses, everything that he's made of, man. I love watching Stipe fight. He opened as a big dog, though. Minus 225 was Ngannou offshore originally. And now we're seeing, obviously, the drop down to like minus 125, minus 130. So a lot of money coming in on Stipe at the dog money. The way the first fight went, I think that attracted a lot of people to the betting window thinking, man, at the dog price, I mean, he pretty much dominated somewhat, I mean, he controlled that fight. There's no question who won that fight when it was all said and done. So I think a lot of people are scooping up the value, or perceived value at least, on Stipe here.
So what was your opinion, Nick, when it first opened? When you saw that minus, what was it, 220?
It was 225 when it first opened.
Your eyebrows go up? Did you think that was off?
I thought it was a little high. We opened it, I think, a minus 180 at Circa. Let me double check for you here. So it was still higher than it is now. Yeah, I opened at minus 180 plus 155. And like I said, it opened offshore like minus 225 or so, and then it got bet down. So I do think the line should be a little bit higher where it's sitting now, though. So there's kind of, something in the middle in between. Which sounds crazy, right? Again, if you go look back at that first fight, I mean, Stipe won it handily, and he has a path to victory. The blueprint's laid out, so he is going to continue to attract a lot of dog money here.
Man, I love that. A lot of line movement for him to open at minus 180, almost a 2-1 favorite over Stipe Miocic. James, is it time to get on Francis, because now he's all the way down to minus 125, or you like the dog here?
Man, it's a tough one for me because I got to be honest with you. I love both these guys a lot, and I feel like there's a mystique around Francis right now that gosh, he is just bulldozing his way through these guys. And for whatever reason, I have so many thoughts on this right now, but for whatever reason, I missed the over 1.5 at minus 137. I got to put something on that. You know what I mean? I have to, at that line, I have to the fight before went 5 rounds. You know what I mean? Like, if you guys think for 1 second that Stipe is going to come in and trade with Francis, guns blazing in the first, you're crazy. There's no way. All that being said, the 2 fights with DC, those were wars, man. And those type of fights, they change you. You know what I mean? And Stipe has seemed a little bit more hittable. All that stylistically, though, like, you can't really wrestle DC. You know what I mean? So I'm going to look to, if I'm Stipe and I'm his team, I come out, I fit in on Francis early. You don't get him down, no problem. But you at least take some of that, like that 2.5 minute, like that fast twitch. You know, you take that away. I have to throw money on the over 1.5 here. I'm going to have to. Like, I feel like the line is forcing me to, you know. But as far as to pick, it's really tough for me to kind of sway one way or the other, you know, because Francis has this big mystique around him. He's just blazing through everybody. But we're talking about Stipe here, guys. Like, Stipe finds ways to win. He's a winner, you know. So it's really tough for me to pick who's going to win this. But the line is forcing me to bet the over 1.5 for sure.
Well, let me follow up with you on something there, James, where you said that, you know, Stipe is coming off of those 2 tough fights with Daniel Cormier, and he's also 3 years older than when he fought Francis the first time, right? I mean, he's 38, Francis is 34, so age advantage on Francis's side. When this line closed in 2018, Francis Ngannou was minus 160. Right now, he's minus 125. And I just wonder, in your opinion, is Stipe in a better or worse spot going into this fight than he was 3 years ago?
I think Stipe's in the same spot. He's the same guy. Like, I think he's the same guy. He's consistent. That's the one thing I love about Stipe is he's consistent. You know what I mean? He's going to come out and he's going to be there the whole time through 25. In terms of heavyweight, I can't think of another heavyweight off the top of my head that has better cardio and that can push a better pace than Stipe right now. All that being said, there has been a drastic incline in Francis's game. He seems like he's just going for it more. You know what I mean? Like, he's not being gun shy anymore. But the style that beats Francis is what Stipe has. You know, so if I see Francis winning, I think it's inside 1 or 2. But if this fight goes the distance, I don't see Stipe losing this fight. It's just really tough. You know, like, Francis has the eraser. You know what I mean? He's got the ability to change a fight like that. So it's really tough for me. You know, I've seen Stipe rocked a couple times. You know, DC got him. And then, you know, Overeem hurt him. He's been hurt a couple times, not necessarily finished, but DC got him. But, man, if one of those from Francis hits, it's game over. But like I said, they're each other's tough matchup. You know what I mean? So it's really tough for me to pick the winner here. I think Stipe, he's no worse. That's for damn sure, right? Like, he's not getting any worse. Like, and I think the age at heavyweight means a little less than it does at, you know, 45, 55, 70, the prime weight classes. But like I said, here in the minus 137, I feel like they're forcing me to bet the over on this.
Hey, one more thing for you, James, before I ask Nick what he feels about the over under. When you watch Francis fight, and obviously you're high on him, you've said numerous times that it seems like he's in a really great place. When we look at the first fight between Francis and Stipe, one of the problems that Francis admits that he had was that he was just far too aggressive. He was throwing for the fences immediately, and that threw him off balance, and it led to takedowns from Miocic. He said he's corrected that. But when I watched that guy fight Jairzinho, he sprinted across the cage and threw what I thought was a pretty wild shot. So like, when you watch him, is his striking? How would you characterize his striking? Is he wild, and is that a concern when you got a guy in Stipe who's going to be looking to take him down?
I think he is. I don't want to say wild. It's like a technical brawler, right? Like, it's organized. You know, he's not just flailing by any means, but he commits. You know what I mean? Like, he commits, and if he misses big. You know. But if he hits big. So I don't think that I don't want to say he's wild, but he throws to kill you, you know, and I don't think that's going to change this fight, because if he comes out passive and like looks to touch, man, Stipe is going to get a hold of you. He's going to put you on the fence. He's going to wear on you. Because I'm telling you, if this fight goes the distance, it's not going to go to Francis. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I don't think so. But I think Francis. I think what Francis has fixed is he's a little bit more controlled. He's controlled on when he lets it go and when he doesn't. I think what he's saying is before I was uncontrolled all the time. to where there's times now where he's kind of just playing around and then it's bam, you know, he throws a barrage that's wild, you know, and then he'll calm it back down again. That's what I'm seeing is everything's a little bit more controlled as a whole, not as, you know, before it's I'm wild all the time. Now it's he's wild when he needs to be, you know, and he's technical when he needs to be. And I think that's what he's going to have to be that to beat Stipe unless he hits a home run, you know. That's always the thing with Francis, but it's a really tough one to pick. It really is, in my opinion.
Nick, you heard what he said about he loves the over 1.5. And one thing I will say is that both of them are in significantly, I think, better shape than they were the first time they fought in 2018. Francis knew right away that was something he needed to take care of, and he looks a lot leaner.
Have you guys seen Stipe? He looks amazing. I hope I look like that at 38. God, he looks great.
Stipe weighs 230 pounds when the first time they fought, he weighed 246. So to me, that's two guys who are gearing up for a fight that could potentially go long. So is James onto something with the over in this one?
Well, I think if he is on to something with the over, then it's correlated towards Stipe, like he said. I don't think Ngannou is going to win a decision. I mean, Stipe is just going to be able to control him, grind him out as the fight goes, slow the pace down, get those takedowns. Again, it'll probably look a lot like the first fight if he gets out of the first 2 rounds. I think that's the sweet spot. Round 1 and round 2, Ngannou probably gets it done. If he does not, he's probably going to lose the fight. So again, he's going to be dangerous though. Even in round 4 or whatnot, he's going to probably have enough knockout power that Stipe has to be cautious. But obviously that threat starts to minimize as the fight progresses a little bit. So I think it's another case, as I said last week, where it's correlated, where if Brunson goes over that 2.5, he's probably going to win the fight. If not, he's probably going to lose the fight. Well, I think it's similar here. If Stipe gets over 1.5, he's probably on his way to victory. If he does not, I think he's going to lose the fight.
Okay. Nick, one more for you. And, you know, I'm interested to hear what you have to say in terms of what your strategy is when you're looking at props instead of a side. So for this one, Ngannou by knockout is plus 105, whereas just to take him to win the fight is minus 125. But I agree with both of what you've said. I don't see a scenario in which Francis wins 3 rounds and doesn't finish this fight. I just don't really see how that happens. So is that worth the value? If you're picking up about that quarter of value, is that worth it to you? Or as a bettor, do you want to stay on just the side?
I mean, it's kind of close at that point because you're only laying 20-25, you know, and no matter what happens, even if by some craziness it hits a scorecards and he wins a decision and we're all shocked or whatnot, I mean, you're covered there, right? So I don't know if you're getting enough value at plus 05 for it to be really worth it instead of going straight. So it all depends on, you know, what your preference is. But I agree with you. I think that's the way he gets it done. So if you're going to bet Ngannou, you might as well bet him inside. I think inside the distance out there is like even money as well. So even money, plus 105 out of the two between knockout or inside the distance, I would pick inside the distance because you never know. There could be a flukish sub. I know a lot of people are not thinking about a sub in this spot, but let's not forget Ngannou showed us he does have a little bit of a sub game. And with that kind of power, if he gets a hold of your arm and twerks it, I mean, you could be in some serious trouble. So the outside shot of a submission could be there as well. The sub price is ridiculous. It's like over 20-1 for sure, which it should be. But that being said, if you take inside the distance, it kind of covers all bases and the fight, he just has to finish the fight. So I think it's a little bit safer in that regard. But I mean, with the line being almost minus 125, I mean, I think you'd rather take a stab at the line straight out.
Okay. So it sounds like we got a strong lean for sure from James on the over 1.5. And then as far as the side, no strong leans. If you guys are going to play it, you taking Ngannou though? If you're forced to play it, you taking Ngannou?
I would.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I think, I mean, how often you're going to get Ngannou or near pick 'em price at coin flip? You know, I know, again, no disrespect to Stipe. I do believe he's the GOAT. He's a tremendous fighter, but Ngannou at near pick 'em, you're not going to see that very often. So I think there is a little bit of value on a coin flip type of fight leaning towards Ngannou with that knockout power that he has.
Yeah.
I'm lost on this one. Leading up to this, I really like what Francis was doing, but going back unemotionally, unobjectively, when I look at this, I feel like anytime that you're in a fight where the only way you can win is by a home run, I just don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't like those odds. And Stipe can win. Francis is not subbing Stipe, guys. That's not happening. And I'll bet whatever you guys want to bet on that. But I just don't like that, you know. But if anybody can do it, it's that guy. So gun to my head, I got to go with Stipe, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I like Francis. I love what he's doing. Leading up to this conversation, I was all in on Francis, but I just don't like the fact that you can only win one way. You know, in a sport where there's hundreds, thousands of ways to win, I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like betting on somebody that only has one way to win.
I think James just guaranteed that Francis by Kimura is happening this Saturday.
I'm gonna retire from the show if he
it's
wins
coming
by
after you offered us unlimited odds on that one. So I was looking forward to talking about Brian Ortega versus Alex Volkanovski. We will talk about that on a later date. So let's get straight to your guys' best bets, because I was going to talk about the O'Malley Almeida fight, but I believe that might be one of your best bets, James. Yeah.
Yep. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go right into O'Malley. If you guys want to go, I'm gonna bet O'Malley. I know he's expensive. I just stylistically matches up really well with Almeida. Almeida is very predictable. I call it a B style. I like him. I love what he does. For O'Malley, when I say AB, it's like 2-3 low kick. It's all left, right, left, right, left, right. It's a very predictable style. And for a slick counterpuncher like O'Malley, I think he's going to catch the timing and he'll clip Almeida or bust him up over time. If you guys want to throw like a half unit or something like that on the fight not going the distance, I like that as well. And that's either way. You know, O'Malley has shown he can be kind of brittle at times. So I like both of those. I do think O'Malley is going to pick at Almeida, just the stylistic striker matchup. O'Malley is a very, very slick, rangy counterpuncher. Almeida is a very AB predictable fighter. I think it's a good matchup for O'Malley, and I'm willing to pay the price for it.
Okay, so O'Malley is minus 330, so it is expensive. So maybe that's if you like some other ones, maybe you throw that on a parlay to
yeah. So I will parlay it with I straight bet it, and I'll parlay it with over 2.5 with Luque Woodley as well.
Okay, over of Woodley and Luque, and how come?
I mean, neither one of these guys, like Luque is extremely difficult to finish, right? He's not an easy guy to knock out. Very, very, very durable dude. And Woodley, he's got a lot to prove to me. Like, I mean, what has he lost? Like 15 rounds in a row or something like that? Like, I just can't. I like both of these guys a lot, but neither Woodley has shown that he can be extremely durable, and Luque has shown that he can be extremely durable. Woodley is known to be a one-punch knockout guy. I just don't see him catching Luque. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see it happening. And 3 rounds instead of 5. I'm gonna go the over at minus. I think it's at minus 170 or somewhere around there right now. I'll straight bet those and probably parlay them together. But I like both of those.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that I like betting the over of Woodley fights, or that I would like to take the over of Woodley fights, and I don't think Woodley's going to appreciate me saying this, but in recent fights, he kind of has looked like he's in there to avoid damage and not to necessarily win. And
his volume's low. Like, he's not trying to hurt people like he used to. You know,
he's a veteran, so if he doesn't want to get finished, he's pretty good at not getting finished, you know. But he's not being very competitive in these fights, as you mentioned. He's lost 15 rounds in a row, and on the flip side, his opponent knows how dangerous he is, so that kind of levels off their aggressiveness. If they're like, I'm up 2 rounds to none, why am I going to go in there and get in a firefight with Woodley? So I like the over of Woodley fights as well, but I think you are kind of paying for it at this point. Nick, what do you think about what are your best bets?
I'm going to go with Jamie Malarkey here over Kamaru. I think it's basically a toss-up fight, but at plus money, I think we're getting the better fighter in Jamie Malarkey at plus money. So you got to take it. It's one of those situations where I think he's the better grappler. I think he's got the striking to actually cause a little bit of damage and do some good work against a guy like Worthy. I think Worthy, kind of like James was saying, I know he's not really a one-trick pony because he's got a submission on his resume as well in the UFC, but I think he's more of a knockout type of artist. If he doesn't get that knockout, I think he's going to be in trouble. I think Malarkey can win on the scorecards. He can win by submission, or he can win by knockout. So at plus 110, Jamie Malarkey, I think, has some value there.
All right. Great job, guys. Love the best bets. And then before we take off, I want 30 seconds or less from both of you. We're going to look ahead a little bit. May 15th, you got Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. It's a lightweight title fight. Big time fight. It just got announced last week because Khabib Nurmagomedov is retired. He's been retired since October, but the UFC is apparently allowing him to retire now. The opening line I'm seeing is Charles Oliveira, a small favorite, minus 150 over Michael Chandler coming back at plus 120. So give me 30 seconds or less, both of you. James, we'll start with you.
I like Chandler in this fight. He's going to be able to dictate where the fight takes place. He's got the power advantage, the speed advantage. I have to go Chandler in this fight. I don't feel like Oliveira is going to be able to get him down. I mean, Oliveira is extremely dangerous on the ground. I just don't think he's going to be able to dictate where the fight takes place at. And I think striking, that power and explosiveness of Chandler, I think he's going to end up catching Oliveira. I definitely lean towards Chandler in this.
Nice, with a plus 120. Nick, what did you think of this line?
Yeah, I agree with what James is saying right now. A lot of people are not going to, though. A lot of people are going to be all over Oliveira here in this spot. In fact, he opened minus 178. I opened him at circa minus 130. So a lot shorter than what the betting market opened because, I mean, no respect with Chandler. Like James said, I think stylistically it's a tough matchup for Oliveira. I mean, the wrestling advantage should go to Chandler, right? The striking advantage, the speed, the power should go to Chandler as well. So a lot of people are kind of, I think, because he's coming from Bellator, not even giving him enough respect for that fight and that amazing win he had over Hooker yet. I think people are just thinking, it was kind of flukish or whatnot. This guy is legit. And I think Oliveira has come a long way. And obviously he can win the fight as well. It's a close fight and he's a slight favorite, but I think it's a dog or pass situation for sure. And I lean towards Chandler as well.
All right. And then April 24th, Kamaru Usman fighting Jorge Masvidal again. Rematch, obviously, this time not on 6 days notice for Masvidal. Kamaru Usman minus 400, Jorge Masvidal plus 300. That's at William Hill right now. Real quick, the implied probability of a minus 400 dog or minus 400 favorite, 80%. That means, these guys fight 10 times. Vegas is saying that Kamaru is going to win 8 times. What do you think about that, James?
I love Masvidal. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I fought him, competed against him. He's the best fighter I've ever fought. I feel like Usman has more ways to win. And Usman has this trick in his bag to where anytime things aren't going right for him, he can always fit in and put you on the fence. And he's very, very good there. He can grind people out there. I think this fight looks a lot like it did the first time. Obviously I think Masvidal will have more moments and his striking is very, very slick. But he just, I know he's been knocking a couple people out, but historically over the course of time, he's not known to be a knockout guy, and Usman just showing his durability against Durinho. I just don't see Masvidal knocking him out. I can see Usman winning I don't want to say a boring decision, but a lackluster decision, putting him on the fence. That's how he's going to beat Masvidal, to ensure he wins. He's going to put him on the fence, take him down. He works back up, take him down. He's going to do that for 25 minutes.
Nick, you were nodding your head when I was talking about the implied odds. If these guys fight 100 times, you think Kamaru wins 80 or you think he wins more, less? What do you think?
Less, a little bit less probably. I know that's crazy because again, he showed the path to victory last time and I bet it last time. I mean, I believe minus 235-ish on Usman when they fought the first time, but now it's minus 410. You can't touch it at minus 410. I mean, again, Masvidal is going to have more time to prepare. I know that Usman said it was a built-in excuse, because he had kind of nothing to lose with the short camp or whatnot as well. There's some truth there as well, but he is going to have more time to prepare properly. He's kind of felt the strength of Usman. He's going to have to adapt and make a few tweaks in that game. So I don't expect it to be as lopsided as it was last time. And he knows he's going to have to throw, man. When he gets the opportunities, he's going to have to go for that knockout because if not, he's going to be up against a cage or on the ground as well. So I don't believe you could touch Usman at minus 400. I mean, like I said, if it was 235, 250, that's a different story. I mean, we opened it at 350 and it pounced up. People didn't hesitate to bet him. So I don't know. I don't agree with where the price is now. So it makes it kind of a tough spot to bet.
Well, we'll talk about that fight more next month, but for now we are done. Thank you so much, guys, for the time. UFC Best Bets. Hopefully we win you some money. And if Francis Ngannou wins by Darce choke in the first round, my first phone call is going to James Krause.
I'm retiring. You won't see me next week. You will not see me next week.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.